You've probably said this before.
I just can't find anyone that works like I do.
Or maybe every time you hire someone, they end up dropping the ball and you end up having to do the work anyways. If that's you, this video is going to completely change the game. So give me the next few minutes and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to replace yourself within your business and finally delegate the day-to-day so you can start focusing on the high leverage stuff that actually moves the needle. This isn't about hiring tips or how to post jobs. You've seen that before. This is about the 4 key things that you need in place so you're no longer the bottleneck and your business can finally grow without you being in the weeds. All right, let's get into it. So lesson number 1 is figuring out what to even delegate in the first place. I can guarantee you that you're spending the majority of your time, if not at least half of your time, on things that really aren't that difficult and can definitely be delegated to somebody else. If you just took the time to sit down and identify what those things are, and then went out and found an A player to delegate those things to, train them so that they're competent enough to get that work done to the quality that you want them to. In order to know what to even delegate in the first place, you first need to know what the value of your time is. If you don't know what the value of your time is, then you have no idea what to even delegate. Let's say the value of your time in your particular business is $1,000 an hour, but you're spending quite a bit of time on tasks that are $10 an hour, $50 an hour, or maybe even $200 an hour. Those are all the tasks that you should be getting off your plate. But if you don't even know what your time is worth in the first place, how do you even know if those $10 to $200 an hour tasks are even worth delegating or not? Maybe you should be doing them. But in this particular example, you need to get all that off your plate. The main goal here is really to go from a reactive day-to-day to a proactive day-to-day. My personal goal in my business is to keep on delegating as much as humanly possible off my plate to basically get to a point where I have a ton of free time and a ton of space to do the number one most important thing in my business right now, which is to have the ability to step back and do nothing and just think. Far too many of us are just reactive day to day in our business, and we're just working on whatever pops up and whatever needs attention in that given moment. And we really fail to step back and to have thinking time and do some deep work. Whenever I just step away from my business and I'm not working on like tedious tasks or dealing with my team members or just being reactive to stuff that pops up, and I could really just sit back and think about what I'm working on and the strategy of my business, that's when I really make the most progress. And that's when I come up with the best ideas. But if you're spending all your time being reactive day to day and you don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to even step back and think about things in the first place, you're never going to come up with those new ideas and really make that progress. So what you need to do is you need to sit down and you need to make a list of all the tasks that you're spending time on day to day. And then you need to categorize those into little buckets about what you think they're worth on a dollar per hour basis. The goal should be really to identify as many things as humanly possible that you can delegate to someone else, especially if those are repetitive tasks that are worth less than $100 an hour. You can very easily go and hire someone in another country for $3 to $4 an hour to do tasks that are worth up to hundreds of dollars an hour for you. No matter who you are, you only have 24 hours in a day, and you need to spend a portion of that eating, sleeping, getting dressed, doing other life stuff. And I don't care who you are, you can't create more time. Whether you're me, whether you're Elon Musk, who has all these huge companies that are doing just groundbreaking work and are really changing the world, we have the same amount of time in the day. It's really about how you spend it. Even if you can identify 2 or 3 little tasks that are eating up your time every single week, that's going to increase your bandwidth that you have available as the business owner every single week to work on more impactful things. I'm not sharing anything groundbreaking right now. This is really just business ownership and entrepreneurship 101. But if this does sound groundbreaking to you, you need to start applying this, because if you don't, you're never going to scale. All right, lesson number 2. You believe that you can't be replaced and that you're the only one that can work on whatever you're working on to the quality that you're getting it done. I used to have this mindset many years ago until I got completely exhausted and burned out and realized that not only did I not want to be doing all this work, but I actually wasn't the best one to be doing it. And once I started hiring people and delegating a ton of work and getting it off my plate, I quickly realized that I actually wasn't that good at a lot of the work that I was doing in the first place. And then I could go and hire people that were exceptionally better than I was, and I didn't have to do the work. So point being, you might think that you're really good at what you're doing, or you might think that you can't find someone else or trust someone else to do that work that you really need to delegate, but that likely isn't the case. The concept of delegation isn't necessarily about cloning yourself and getting someone to do something exactly how you do it. Whoever you hire, they're probably going to put their own spin on things. They're going to have their own style, their own approach. What you really need to do is just take the process that you're working on right now and document it down to a set of standard operating procedures, basically an instruction manual that you can then pass off to the person that you just hired. And then that person could very easily pick up that instruction manual. Maybe there's even some Loom videos recorded throughout it, and then they could figure out how to get that work done. And then of course, you're going to train this person as well. As business owners, very often we're control freaks, and to a degree, I think that we really have to be. But there's really a limit on how much you can control, assuming you don't want to limit your growth. And oftentimes, because we're control freaks, we can become the bottleneck in our business. And if we're trying to force all of the workflows through us, the bottleneck, and if we have to be doing everything, if we have to approve everything, if we have to have the final say and the final touch on everything that's going on in the business, we're going to have a massive bottleneck. So point being, you have to be able to delegate work. You have to be able to trust the people that you're delegating to. The way that you can trust them is to train the living heck out of them so that they're actually really good at their job. Then you don't have to worry about it. And then you can remove these bottlenecks that you have right now that you have created. All right, lesson number 3 is that mistakes that the person that you hired is making are a feature. They're not a flaw. Most people think that when someone makes mistakes, it means that they're a bad hire. But these mistakes are really an opportunity for you to refine your systems and refine your training. Let me give you an example. If you've ever played sports before, think back to when you first started playing that sport and how terrible you were. Now, maybe you had some natural talents and you picked it up quicker than others, but anyone that's starting a new sport is going to be terrible relative to where they end up many years later. Think about if your coach just looked at you and they're like, ugh, terrible, just bad athlete. We don't want to deal with them. Just get rid of them. Think about not only how unfair that would be for you because you didn't even get an opportunity to grow and learn, but think about how irrational it is. How could you expect someone to step into that brand new sport on day one and just be great at it? Think about if someone just stepped into the game of golf. They'd never golfed before. They'd never even swung a golf club. And then they come in and they're just garbage on day one. And their golf coach is like, nope, you're done. I'm not even going to bother with you. There's a difference between someone making mistakes because they're just incompetent and maybe just not intelligent, and someone who's making mistakes because their directions weren't clear or they just need a little bit more training. So you as the business owner, your job is to come in, and when the mistakes are made, first, you probably should identify if they're just a dummy or not, which sometimes people are, or if, which is probably more so the case, the person just needs some more training. Maybe they need some more documentation or a safety net set up in whatever process that they have to help support them and make sure that they're successful. Every person I've ever hired who ended up becoming an A player made mistakes early on, and oftentimes they made a lot of mistakes. But the way I looked at this was these were just opportunities for me to sit down, coach them, course correct, and systematize what they were doing and just give them feedback and help coach them up into being better at their role. Now, yes, sometimes you'll find some people that you hire, you bring them on, they're making mistakes, you give them some feedback, and they're just not coachable. They're throwing up defense mechanisms left and right. They have walls up against your feedback, and they're just not really open to hearing you. Those people are not A players. They need to be let go because you're going to waste way too much time and energy trying to coach those people. But assuming the person you hired is coachable, that's a great sign, and that's someone that you can work with. All right, lesson number 4, your business cannot scale until you let go. Yes, we are control freaks as entrepreneurs, but if you're gonna be a control freak, control this one thing instead. Control training processes, control feedback and coaching, control all of that. Put all of your effort into making sure that your team is set up for success from a training standpoint. As your business grows and becomes more complex and you have more staff and more things going on, you cannot be in every single little area of your business at one time. So you don't have a choice. You're going to have to relinquish some control, and you're going to have to trust other people to get work done for you. There's really no way around it. So like I said, if you want to be a control freak, which I admit I am too, to a degree, go and control their training. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, once you start delegating a ton of work and you regain all this time that you didn't have before, you're now going to have all this space to just sit back and think. And at that point, you can really reflect on what your team's doing, what their workflows look like, how you can improve things and make them more efficient, where maybe they're making repetitive mistakes and you can come in and coach them and train them and really make things better. In summary, letting go isn't about disappearing. It's not about really just falling off the map and not paying attention to what anyone's doing. You definitely don't want to do that. It's really about just stepping back and giving them the space to do their job so you can actually lead and scale. Sometimes what holds founders back from really being able to delegate work and scale is finding the perfect person. This perfect person does not exist. You need to control what you can on your end, which is onboarding the person that you hire and training them and coaching them on a continuous basis to set them up for success. Yes, there are a number of things that you can do on the front end when you're recruiting, interviewing, and actually hiring people to increase the probability of finding that A player that's going to come in and make your life a lot easier, even with coaching and training. But at the end of the day, you really just have to trust in the delegation process as a concept in order to even free up enough time within your day-to-day to grow your business. So that's how you start replacing yourself inside your business. If you're ready to stop being the bottleneck, my team and I can help. We run a done-for-you hiring service where we find, vet, and place the best remote talent for $45 an hour directly into your business. We've done this for every type of remote role that you could possibly think of. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of business owners build reliable, low-maintenance teams that actually get things done. If that sounds like what you need, book a free call with my team. The link is in the description. Make sure to subscribe if you want more practical videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.